online and in person today. And we extend a warm welcome to everyone, both on Zoom and in the sanctuary. If you are a visitor, we are glad you are with us, and we invite you to stay after the service to get acquainted. We welcome your questions and look forward to hearing about you. We are mindful that we gather today with different needs. Whatever brings you here, you are welcome to come as you are and take what feeds you. Please know that technical difficulties may arise, yet we offer our best in efforts, not with the goal of perfection, but to allow us to connect with one another while keeping our community safe. Our opening words today are from Everyday Tao by Deng Ming Dao. To see, Qin, is represented by a Chinese pictogram of a large eye on top of a person. Without observation, learning is impossible. When students wanted to learn of the Tao, they sought out the guidance of wise elders. Learning was not formal. The ancients accepted any student they felt was sincere. In practice, the younger one merely walked with the older one. The students wanted to see Tao. By pointing out animals and trees, leading the way through tiger-filled mountains and flower-covered valleys, fording icy rivers and crossing sun-scorched deserts, the ancients showed the way of the world in its limitless variety. What was so important about this method is that the ancients trusted their students to see. They simply let their students live and travel with them, and they knew that the students would see Tao in the wind and mountains, trees and river, animals, and in people. The real Tao was inaccessible. The real Tao was everyday Tao. The idea that each of us can be directly spiritual is radical. Most religions are based not on teaching adherents to be directly spiritual, but in persuading them to trust in the intercession of ministers and priests. The example of the traveling students shows us otherwise. If we want to see Tao, we need only open our eyes and trust what we see. Come, let us worship together. We'll move on to the lighting of the chalice. The flaming chalice is the symbol of Unitarian Universalism, a beacon of light and warmth. Each Sunday when we gather, we bring this symbol to life together. As we light our communal chalice here in the sanctuary, those on Zoom are invited to type into the chat wherever the chalice light shines for them in Northfield, Faribault, Portugal, or Florida. Please join me in speaking the words on your screen as we light the chalice, the symbol of our faith. Let us open our eyes to see what is beautiful. Let us open our minds to learn what is true. Let us open our hearts to love one another.
Tis a gift to be simple, tis a gift to be free, tis a gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, it will be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend, we shall not be ashamed. To turn will be our delight, till by turning we come round right. Tis a gift to be simple. Tis a gift to be simple, tis a gift to be free, tis a gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, it will be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend, we shall not be ashamed. To turn will be our delight, till by turning we come round right. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend, we shall not be ashamed. To turn will be our delight, till by turning we come round right. Tis a gift to be simple, tis a gift to be free, tis a gift to be simple, tis a gift to be free.
We have a peace prayer for you. Today's peace prayer was a favorite of Mother Teresa's. She introduced it in 1981. She asked that it be prayed at noon all over the world, thereby ensuring there would be peace prayers said 24 hours a day. Lead us from death to life, from falsehood to truth. Lead us from despair to hope, from fear to trust. Lead us from hate to love, from war to peace. Let peace fill our hearts, our world, our universe. Peace, peace, peace. May it be so. Each week we gather, we carry the sorrows and celebrations of our own lives. If the greeter would please bring those forward at this time. Anybody want to add to the basket, joys and sorrows? We light one more candle in honor of the joys and sorrows we carry in our hearts, but have not been spoken aloud. Thank you, Bob. I invite us now to take a few unhurried breaths as we share a moment of silence together. A silence of your understanding, holding our own lives and the world in our hearts.
Today's reading is entitled The Call of Beauty from the book Beauty, Rediscovering the True Sources of Compassion, Serenity, and Hope by John O'Donoghue. This particular segment is entitled Every Life is Braided with Luminous Moments. I was with a friend out on Loch Corrib, the largest lake in the west of Ireland. It was a beautiful summer's day. Time had come to rest in the silence and stillness that presided there. The lake slept without a ripple. A gray-blue haze enfolded everything. There was no division anymore between earth and sky. Reaching far into the distance, everything was suffused in a majestic blue light. The mountains of Connemara seemed like a pile upon pile of delicate blue. You felt you could almost reach out your hand and pull them towards you. No object protruded anywhere. Trees, stones, fields, and island had forgotten themselves in a daze of blue. Then suddenly, a harsh flutter as near us the lake's surface split, and a huge cormorant flew from inside the water and struck up into the air. Its ragged black wings and large, awkward shape were like an eruption from the underworld. Against the finely woven blue everywhere, its strange form fluttered and gleamed in absolute black. She had the place to herself. She was the one clear object to be seen. And as if to conceal the source as she soared, she left her shadow thistling the lake's surface. This was an event of pure disclosure, a sudden epiphany from between the worlds. The strange beauty of a cormorant was a counterpoint to the dreamlike delicacy of the lake and the landscape. Sometimes beauty is unpredictable. A threshold we had never noticed opens. Mystery comes alive around us, and we realize that the earth is full of concealed beauty. The earth is full of concealed beauty. Saint Augustine expressed this memorably when he said, I ask the earth, I ask the sea and the deeps, among the living animals, the things that creep, I ask the winds that blow, I ask the heavens, the sun, the moon, the stars, and to all things that stand at the doors of my flesh. My question was the gaze I turned to them. Their answer was their beauty.
The winter's over and the flowers are laughing. A wandering nightingale returns to sing. The trees enfold us with congratulations. Our souls go dancing down the street. Winter into spring, how will it be? As the seasons change, they are changing, changing you and me. The courtroom stands as the judge, spring enters. December thieves begin to steal away. Though last year's miracles will be forgotten, every one of us must stay. Winter into spring, how will it be? As the seasons change, they are changing, changing you and me. New creatures whirl in from some non-existence. New galaxies are scattered round their feet. Spring music in us, and it's time to listen as this cycle is complete. Winter into spring, how will it be? As the seasons change, they are changing, changing you and me. The orchards hang out their colored lanterns. Nothing can limit or be in defeat. My poem resonates with rough notations, the music of spring's feet. Winter into spring, how will it be? As the seasons change, they are changing, changing you and me. The music now complete, the music now in me, the music that we are.
Well, it's taken 2 years for this privilege to occur, for me to stand here in front of all of you beautiful people, and in particular this morning to see Mark and Sue, Mark Needham. I haven't seen him in 2 years. You know, in a way, this is the beauty of the service together, is that I get to be in your presence. I get to see you. I see your eyes, if I can't see your lips and nose. I just like to, I came across something this morning before I begin the actual presentation. I'm a big fan of John O'Donohue. I'm sure many of you are as well. Well, the one description of the cormorant. I mean, that's just, I mean, if that doesn't thrill you, well, I'm sure it did. But he writes in Anam Cara, which is another one of his, I highly recommend this book as well. It's a beautiful, beautiful book. Just want to read a paragraph because I'm touched at the moment of being in your presence after such a long time. When you love someone and are separated from them for a long time, excuse me, it is lovely to receive a letter or a phone call, or even in the silence of your own spirit, to sense their presence. Yet there is such deeper excitement when you return again and see the face you love. At this moment, you enjoy a feast of seeing, a feast of seeing. In that face, you see the intensity and depth of loving presence looking toward you and meeting you. It is beautiful to see each other again. It is beautiful to see each other again. In Africa, certain forms of greeting mean, I see you. In Connemara, the phrase used to describe popularity and admiration is, the face of the people is toward you. John O'Donohue from Anam Cara. So I've been hoping to do this talk for a couple of years. I imagined doing 3 talks, each one following one of the lines of the Chalice Lighting, which I don't know about you, but when we first came to UUFN over in the other building, which was not a beautiful space, but the people were beautiful. Brenda McCoy, of course, highlighted because she kept coming to me and saying, you really ought to come again. So thank you. So it worked really well. But it was, you know, it is the order of service. There is a ritual and order of service. And there are things in the order of service that just struck me as being very powerful. And one was the simplicity of the Chalice Lighting phrases. Let us open our eyes to see what is beautiful. Now that seems obvious, you know, you have to wake up. You have to be awakened. That's for those of us, and I know for those that can't see this, there's still an awakening. But we, you know, normally we wake up and our eyes open. And the first thing we see is the life around us. In my case, I'm blessed by being next to my lovely wife, and she is beautiful, so it works really well there. I open my eyes and I see something beautiful. It's incredible. So anyway, that resonated me. Let us open our eyes to see what is beautiful. Let us awaken to beauty. Let us wake up our senses, and all of our senses, to recognize the beautiful. I think winter into spring, which you just saw, is a fitting context. Bless the inspirational words of Rumi. I always go to Rumi when I'm searching for an idea for a song. And winter into spring, how will it be? The key question. As the seasons change, you know, they are changing you and me. And I think that is one of the things that we learn as we move through time and space and the seasons, is that we change. And I want to tell a story of personal change. And I've told part of this story in the past, I think over maybe 2.5, 3 years ago, back over in the other building. And the story involves awakenings. Awakening to beauty. We'll get to the beauty part later, but the first awakening was not beautiful in any form or sense. I was driving in downtown Minneapolis one lovely noon time in the summer 4 years ago, and fairly oblivious to the universe. And then the universe intersected me at an intersection by another car and T-boned me and flung me around and spun me in a circle. And in that moment of awakening, because if there's nothing like a T-bone to awaken you to something in the universe that's trying to reach out to touch you, and then to just sit there and think, oh my God, okay, everything's intact, more or less, anyway. But what it is, what trauma does, and it was traumatic, is that it's the foundation for PTSD, for you become traumatized, you become overly sensitive. So as a result of that, in subsequent weeks and months, whenever I was driving my car, the new car, since the old one was totaled, I got the new car, and every time I go through an intersection, I would be anxious. I would be nervous. I would look. I would do a lot more looking at intersections for many months after that. So there was a good part in it that it reminded me of my mortality, my good fortune. It also reminded me that we're all driving guided missiles, which are very dangerous objects. And I'm sure there's a few of you I know here who have been intercepted by guided missiles, and it's not a pleasant experience. It reminded me of the value of family and the thoughtful actions of the police that came. I was able to call a family member who came down, seeing me sitting on the sidewalk thinking, oh my God, there goes my car. Now what am I going to do? How am I going to get home? All of those things that come to mind out of the blue. But I was fearful of intersections. Where once I had driven to my studio in downtown Northfield from our home, about 8 or 9 blocks away, I'd pretty much driven every day. I don't know why, but I had gotten into the habit of driving. And I realized that I think maybe I'll walk, because there were a couple of intersections that I had witnessed people driving through stop signs in downtown Northfield. So being cautious, I proceeded to walk back and forth every day. Now, that's nothing. You just walk to work and walk home. And for many weeks, it was just all it was, just a walk, a pleasant little walk home and back. But then the funniest thing happened after maybe 50, 60, 70 times of walking back and forth in that same street. I began to notice things. I began to see little things. I mean, everything was so normal and usual, but it was the little things that were different that started to jump out at me. I thought, I'm noticing things. Isn't that it? Me, I'm actually noticing things. A surprise to everyone. Since I am somewhat oblivious to the universe in general, this should not surprise Barbara at all, who's sometimes reminding me of things that I have missed. But I was beginning to see things. So I began to notice over the seasons, the daily changes in vegetations, the air, the smell of the air, when it rained, how that affected the sidewalk that I was walking on, sounds of birds, children's, engines of all type. Even though the path was the same, every transit held surprises. I thought there's something interesting going on here. The sequence of surprises in turn led to a feeling of headiness, sort of an awakening, an awareness that you mean there are other people in the world. You mean there are creatures that are flying about. You mean there are things to notice. It was a revelation. Over time, this transformed into what I began to term a meditative practice, a practice of walking and being aware, more aware, being awakened, noticing things. And in fact, now looking for things that were slightly different than the day before, or the time up versus the time back. And that turned into something that I call, in a preposterous way, I call sidewalking. Sidewalking. Because it seems to me that we all kind of know intuitively that walking in the forest or over at the Carlton Arb, you get that that forest cleansing, that forest breathing thing that goes, which I completely agree with. You're just automatically immersed in nature and you feel a lightness. You may not notice too many specific things, little flowers coming up here and there, but everyone I think feels that. But when we think of just walking downtown and back, it just on a sidewalk, what's that? Well, it turns out that the natural world is there, even though you're just walking down the sidewalk. But so sidewalking evolved into a sense that there were two aspects of sidewalking. Cleverly, there's inside walking and outside walking. Pretty nice, huh? The outside walking was what I've been doing. The inside walking was what I reflected on when I got home. I would use the meditative walk and I would go over it in my mind and I would remind myself of the special things that I saw in trying to, again, feel an aspect of that headiness that I had felt in transit. Because we can go in transit here too. So that's the inside walking. I know this is startling news for all of you, but and I expect to see a tremendous increase in interest in inside and outside walking. But I also found there were certain rules involved in the outside walking. And that was, first of all, that you should never have a destination. You shouldn't be going to the store. I really shouldn't have been going to the office or the studio. And of course, eventually I moved my studio home, so that removed that problem. So you just go out on a walk and you let random noticings lead you around. And so some of my walks would be several miles and some would be, 10 blocks, 8 blocks. It didn't matter. It doesn't matter. It was just that you shouldn't have someplace to go and you should enjoy random deviations. And I'm sad to say this, but you should probably do it by yourself. Now, my lovely wife and I, we walk together hand in hand, and I love it. But sidewalking, you kind of have to do by yourself. It's not a conversational walk. It's a meditative experience. And all you have to do is just walk and look, see, observe. So for example, let me just give you a quick example. You walk out the door. First thing you do is you stand there and you smell the air. And then you feel how damn cold it is out here today. And will that wind ever stop? Anyway, you embrace that as best you can. And then you listen, and you, of course, the wind whipping through the trees. Okay, we hear that. But you hear a cardinal across the street. And you hear something, you just hear some small sound. You think, is this a day for sound? Is this a day for feeling? Is this a day for touching? Because there are days when you want to touch things as you walk down the street. You want to touch the tree. You want to touch the grass. You want to be physical with it. If you walk down and there's a tree overhanging the sidewalk, reach up and play with the leaves. It's expanding it beyond seeing into all aspects of your senses, if you can. So on the first sidewalk, you might see a dandelion. Notice the color. Bend over, touch it. A neighbor working waves hello. Down the sidewalk a little further, you have children. To me, 2-year-olds are the most beautiful things in the world. I don't know about you, but when I see a 2-year-old skipping down the street, it's like, it's made my day. I mean, it's so hugely beautiful. And the kids, there's 3 little kids just about 3 blocks north of us. And they spend a great deal of time with their colored chalk, doing exquisite work. I mean, I've complimented the parents several times on the talent of their children, which is always a good thing to do, by the way. Parents and grandparents respond very positively to comments about their young children. But in the beginning, when it was just outside walking, and I'll get to the beauty part here now, discovering the portal of beauty, because I've developed let me give you the shorthand. It's called SOS, Sidewalking 2.0. SOS stands for stop, stop, observe, and see. Stop, observe, and see. One of the things I learned about walking, side walking, was that you have to stop walking. You must stop walking. That's when beauty emerges. When you have beauty is a portal, beauty is a window, beauty is a door. The universe is calling to you constantly, knocking on the other side of the door, saying, for goodness sake, open this door. But you can't open the door unless you stop. See, you have to stop to open the door. I mean, try opening a door on the run. It doesn't work. You have to stop to open that door. So the universe is reaching out to you, asking you to stop. Stop. So now, when I do my sidewalking, I stop regularly and dig deeper into what I see. And so you will occasionally see me caressing trees. Okay, I stop and I feel the bark, and as I'm feeling, and I'm talking to this tree and saying, you're a little older than I, possibly, but you know, I relate to the wisdom that's coming from this bark and this tree. Trees are so wise, and they have so much to give you, my friends. Give them a break. No, give them a chance. Please embrace them. So it's about stopping and digging deeper. Let me just read a little bit from John O'Donohue. He says, the beautiful unifies feeling, thought, and dream. The beautiful unifies feeling, thought, and dream. This book, the book on beauty, endeavors to mirror this, and this is, I love this phrase, at one moment. At one moment. Through awakening our hearts to beauty, we can all come to know what John Keats meant when he said, I feel more and more every day as my imagination strengthens that I do not live in this world alone, but in 1,000 worlds. I live in 1,000 worlds. And there's waiting out there, they're waiting right here. I mean, hello. As I look out on all of you beautiful people, I mean, this is it. This is it. So stop, observe, and see. Stop, observe, and see. Well, I'm taking much too time, as I normally do. So let me move closer to the end of my little chat. I have a couple of photos, and particularly one for those who are at home online. But Jen is going to show a couple of photos. And first of all, Jen, if you would show the image of the purple Japanese maple, and she's doing that right this minute. And isn't that beautiful? Now, that is one of the most beautiful little trees I have ever seen. And we were in Maryland visiting Barbara's son and our lovely granddaughter. And in their backyard, they have just almost exactly that size. They're small, Japanese maple. And I thought, well, of course, it wasn't looking like that because it hasn't got to that point yet. However, I handed out, and Jen, maybe would you show the next slide for the folks at home? This is what I handed out to everybody. Now, I would like you to take this little object and understand that those leaves, all those leaves that were on those stems, those purple leaves, have dried down into this. And I don't know about you, but that is the most exquisite form. It's so delicate and lacy and engaging. As soon as I saw it, I thought, okay, I'm grabbing 30 of those, 40 of those, and bringing them back. And I just wanted you to touch something that was beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. And it comes from beauty, and it transforms into beauty. And it will, when it turns into, I don't know what it does. It dusts, I guess. It's still beautiful. It's all part of the cosmic dance. Okay, I'd like to finish with with an excerpt from my recent documentary on Valley Grove, which many of you had a chance to see. And this is an excerpt from that by the artist Fred Somers. Some of you know Fred. Just one of the most amazing and beautiful people you would ever want to meet and spend time with. So let me have Jen do that, and then I'll have a couple words after that, but let's watch that. It's just a very brief clip from that.
53 years that I've been coming to this area and this spot. And at that time, I did not have beauty as an art concept in my art. So when I looked at the landscape, I started to see things that I had never seen before. When you jump out of Holocaust images and all the things I was doing to going with love and beauty, I think it's meant to shake us. I think beauty is meant to just be absolutely breathtaking and overwhelming. And that's what happened to me as I wandered around trying to figure out, who am I as an artist? But little by little, I started to open up what was surrounding me, and who would have known that I would make a career out of wandering in the woods and coming home with wet shoes all the time and, hanging out at Two-Step Falls.
Thank you, Fred. I mean, it transformed his life. Beauty transformed him, and he creates some of the most beautiful artwork you've ever seen. So let me just finally close here. I'd like to express my commitment to the life of our precious community that we have here at UUFN. Just to be here with you is such a gift to me, and I know to Barbara as well. Such a gift to have you with us, to be with you. And as we talk about stewardship and we talk about what we contribute as members of this community, it really is about your talent. It's about your time. It's about who you are. I mean, just the who you are today here is what stewardship is. It's what we give of ourselves. It's what we give of ourselves. So, like all of you, my support for UUFN is unbounded.
There is a river that runs to a sea. Its course is uncertain, its canyons are deep. River made of time, flowing deep and wide from now to now. You will be what you couldn't be. You will see what you couldn't see before now. Before now. You will find what you couldn't find in the time that you couldn't find before now. Before now. Let care go. Let life flow. Pause and know, here and now. Free your mind, just in time. Peace of mind, overflow. Spirit knows. You will be what you couldn't be. let care go, let life flow. Pause and know, here and now. Free your mind, just in time. Peace of mind overflows. Spirit knows.
We turn our attention now to the wider world as we take our offertory. Our recipient this month is Water Legacy. The mission of Water Legacy is to work with allies and partners to prevent the greatest threats to Minnesota's waters and communities. These would include sulfide mining and regulatory capture by industry. Water Legacy's values include human health, environmental health and justice, respect for tribal rights, rulings guided by science and law, not politics, and a sustainable world 7 generations into the future. You may contribute right now online by going to our website, uunorthfield.org, clicking on the yellow donate button on the right-hand column, and then selecting share the plate. Or you can mail a check made payable to UUFN with offering basket written on the memo line. Separate checks marked UUFN pledge are also welcome. If you are at our church building, please put cash or a check, again made out to UUFN with offering basket on the memo line, in the basket. As always, thank you for giving as you are able.
Creating a space where the light shines within us. Hope and new light, hope and new light. Taking a dream and then sending it winging, bringing a future so bright. Hope and new light, hope and new light. By finding that space where the light shines within us. Hope and new light, hope and new light. Illusions of sadness and troubled confusion replaced by a knowing that's right. Hope and new light, hope and new light. Night flying moths come from humble beginnings. Hope and new light, hope and new light. Shedding cocoons that enclose their potential, spreading their wings in delight. Hope and new light, hope and new light. Creating a space where the light shines within us. Hope and new light, hope and new light. Taking a dream and then sending it winging, bringing a future so bright. Hope and new light, hope and new light, hope and new light.
Box elder bug had made its way across here over to the top, and I just put it over to the side. New life, yes. Our closing words are from Rabindranath Tagore. Through the rise and fall of empires, through the creation of vast bodies of symbols that give shape to our dreams, through the forging of magic keys in which to unlock the mysteries of creation. Through it all, we are marching from epoch to epoch toward the fullest realization of our soul. Yes, we are coming, the pilgrims, one and all, coming to our true inheritance of the world. We are ever broadening our consciousness, ever seeking a higher and higher unity, ever approaching nearer to one universal truth, which is the all, comprehensive and all-embracing. I invite everyone here in the sanctuary to gather in a wide circle as we prepare to sing our final hymn. Go for it. Let us join together in our closing hymn, Spirit of Life. Please join me as we extinguish our chalice. You will see the words on the screen. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Go in peace. Thank you, Bob.